So, look, welcome everybody. We have like a whole bunch of traffic stuff going on outside, but don't worry. Welcome to episode 9 of season 2 of the Made in Dreams podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mighty Vicious, here with Jamie James the Emperor, and we got some new faces. Well, a new face around here. And then we have Insane Alpha Beta, who still won't show us his face, but we'll get around to that during our conversations. Entropy, welcome to the podcast. What? You knew I was going
to... Hey, guys. Hey, everyone.
Wasted no time.
Yeah. But Entropy, welcome. It's great to have you, and I'm sure we'll have you
great
again
to be
on
here.
A solo.
Not nearly as mysterious as Insane Alpha Beta, but, here I am.
It's part of the allure.
Part of the allure. And so we also have Pixel back
Howdy
again.
doody.
There it is.
Going for enthusiasm bonus points this week. Of course, we have RDB Jellyfish joining us once again. And yeah, that was it. The wave. That was
I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna wave.
All right. Now we have the ever energetic Insane Alpha Beta. How you doing today, my guy?
Greetings. I'm doing great. Despite the fact my logo's gone, apparently.
Look. We did that because you weren't gonna have your camera on, and I was making sure. I thought we would have been able to badger you beforehand, but I was like, nah. And so look, we're getting it started early. We've been yakking it up before going live, and we got some pretty good things to talk about. But I'm gonna let the new guest start us off on this week's roundtable. Entropy, let us have it. Hit that beat.
Sure. I'll bring up a conversation topic. I don't really have anything planned, but I guess I'd just pick something that I think is fun in the Dreams community and see what you guys think about it. And to me, one of the most fun things happening in the community right now is kind of high score wars. And I think that's a fun way that has, fostered a lot of interactivity in the community. And I'm just curious what you guys think about it. Do you guys think stuff like that could be formalized in Dreams? Like, I would love to see, competitions like that kind of get more of a spotlight, whether it's just like a banner image at the front of the Dream Surfing or have it be a timed event. I think that'd be really cool. And I think it's something that could be done probably relatively easy, and I just think those kind of community events where people are doing stuff kind of collaboratively. I know it's not like a collaboration there, but in real time, those are like the best things about Dreams. And I was just curious what you guys thought about it. I know a lot of you have participated in High Score Wars a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, I could go first if you want. Like, I've been doing, I've done a few High Score Wars. It's unfortunate because they schedule them like right when I have like a meeting at work. So admittedly, sometimes I'll have my laptop up, like my work laptop, and have the mic muted, and I'll actually be doing High Score Wars while I'm like in a meeting. But don't tell anybody. But yeah, like I think High Score Wars is great. I think Dreams is just like naturally collaborative, and the thing is I see the most is like it seems to be more geared towards like artists collaborating. So like like I saw your Dream Tease thing. That seems like mostly like painting. And then there's like the clump check-in thing. That's like sculpting a little dude. The plastic dreamers, that was another like sculpting thing. The media molecule stuff, like setting up a booth and like the pumpkin carving and that kind of stuff. It seems mostly geared towards artists. And I think like that was the appeal of like the Entropy games as well. Like I thought that was so much fun because it geared like it was like highly collaborative, but it didn't matter what your skill set was because it felt like you could bring whatever you were good at into that. Like you'd set up enough logic to get the non-logic people started, but if you were into logic, you could make more advanced stuff. And you could
when I started that, my goal was to make the collaboration that I thought I would actually be able to participate in. Like if I were looking for one, like something that I could participate in at any time and just work on it on my own and feel no pressure to like, oh, if I get busy with something else, no one even knows I'm working on this. And if I do just drop it off, then cool, we can add it in. It's kind of all siloed and then it comes together to become this bigger thing, which I think is really a fun idea. And I wish there were more things like that.
Yeah, so to like get back to High Score Wars, like that seems like a highly collaborative, like player-based thing, which I feel like the players don't get a lot of recognition as part of the Dreams community, and it seems like a way of like getting them involved in like the highly collaborative nature of Dreams, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because I think the players on a whole are like the one group that's kind of the most left behind when you look at everything in general. Like there's no MP for players. There's no, they've just now started focusing on, improving the user experience for players. And I think having more experiences, I mean, ultimately that's what we're all doing is making something for players to play, but it would be nice if there was more ways to get them invested. And I think High Score Wars is a good example of that.
I mean, I think it'd be a bit difficult though to give an MP to a player, though, wouldn't it? I mean, how would that be justified?
It just depends on what.
I think it's just an example as where the focus is. I think it might be hard, but it's not worth. There's still a reason you could do it.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily have to be like an impy or anything either. Like I think of the jam format. What if there was like a week long, high score competition with 4 games chosen or something? That would be cool. And then the people get ranked sort of or something, or get a badge if they get above a certain,
threshold. A badge would be very cool. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
I think there's fun and creative ways that you could kind of engage those players.
Just like rewarding them for actually playing a bunch of stuff.
Well, Gizmo brought up in chat something where I was going to come in on the topic, which is that basically, like, how would you say, like a lot of games got better after being in High Score Wars from the feedback they got. And I think that's, as Gizmo stated, that's very important. Like that seems like the way it's kind of something that kind of feeds back not only into helping the community come together, but also it feeds back into the creativity loop as far as people getting better and creating higher quality content. So that's actually pretty cool. I hadn't thought of it that way.
It's a good stressor, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to break a game when everyone's hammering away at it for a period of time.
Well, when they're actively trying to break it too, because they're trying to go as fast as possible. So that's going to naturally create. I mean, they're not casually playing this, So
yeah, every time I've had a game in High Score Wars, I'm like, oh crap, this is going to be broken.
I was going to say, like, if you ever want to, like, if you need your game play tested, get a bunch of speedrunners because they will like destroy it.
Unless you don't make games that are speedrunnable.
Plus, the high score games are just stupidly fun. Like, Trigon absorbed me for literally over a week. And I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to do any of them because, like I said, I've been stuck in like one solo project for quite a while now, which has me trying to start up other ones. But yeah, anything that's been done either by the community or by itself to enhance or just interact with the community is overall just a good idea. Like, I don't see really any downsides to it. And they should continue. And like we spoke with Magma Monster, as far as, the Plastic Dreamers, anything in that vein, including High Score Wars, where you're putting everyone together, it works. Go ahead. Somebody was about to say something.
I was just going to say, in regards to High Score Wars, it is there does need to be a little bit more trappings around it to like help support it, because when I've been in streams with people who are new to Dreams or not even familiar with Dreams, but would love something like High Score Wars, and there's no real way. Like they're like, well, where do I go? And there's like, well, you just have to hang around and figure it out, and like be in other.
Isn't there a page on Dream Surfing with it's like called High Score Wars and it has a bunch of those games?
There's a lot on Dream Surfing.
But to actually participate is because when you tell people who aren't familiar with Dreams, hey, there's this really cool thing you should participate in, the expectation is that there's going to be like some formalized structure around becoming a participant. And if it's just like, well, you have to be on stream at this particular time, and if I'm just telling somebody this, they're not going to follow up, right? So you got to have there has to be some path to get people to engage. And I think I floated by Mick, the idea of making a website and having some destination that could actually like facilitate bringing people in. And I definitely think if I mean I don't have time to do something like that, but if people out there would be willing to do that, I think that would be a huge benefit to the community, be a net positive for sure.
It is definitely very decentralized. Like whenever I have participated, I feel like half the games I have to be in someone's stream chat being like, how much time do we have left on this
right
game? I forget when it started. Like we need like a timer, a more streamlined way of keeping track of the scores, like speed things up a bit. But like it's a really promising idea and it's so much fun. I really want to see it grow.
But I definitely think it has the most legs to actually bring new people in. Of anything that's been like, I mean, a game in and of itself can do that, but like an event that's constantly being managed that has some structure around it is probably one of the better ways to get just new people. So
I think Media Molecules paying attention to these things,
of course,
the like community events, the High Score Awards and stuff. I think all of those are kind of just teaching them what the community and what the players want out of Dreams as an experience for players. And I think they're, taking that feedback. And obviously we don't know what they're doing, but I know they're seeing that and building upon it behind the scenes because that's what developers do.
Yeah. It just takes them a lot longer than it would, like for one of us to just go out and make some kind of way to serialize the data.
But that's one of the most fun things about Dreams is that we're shaping it a lot,
I think Media Molecule is really gearing up now for sort of bringing players into Dream. I think they've done a massively great job of bringing in creators and, giving jams and things and different challenges. And the community's done a great job of bringing all these different events into Dreams around the creation side. And I think personally now is a great time to try and bring the players in. And I think that's what Media Molecule is probably focusing on in the background right now. So I would expect within the next few months, we're probably going to see a lot more player-based events come into Dreams to try and, bring those people into the player base.
I hope that includes a filter so we can like filter out things we don't want to see, like the memes and stuff.
The memes, please.
The memes are certainly a lot more hidden than they were like.
Way more.
Which is great.
Yeah, I think curation largely solves that problem.
I basically only see memes anymore when people like share them with me and they pop up in my notifications.
It's funny you say that, but I went to the new trending Dreams page and like 70% of them was a bunch of memes or my
I just don't go there.
I think trending will always be that, but
that's a dark and dangerous place.
You have to be very brave to go into trending.
But if they put in broken, I think it's broke because like I don't know. It's always memes and like there's always something with like 4 likes. And I'm like, is that typically classified as trending? Because I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think some work does need to be done on the trending side of things. I think they need to put some filters in there to block out Shrek, Mario, Luigi, and block all those words.
See, we talk.
Well, I mean, all they can do.
Well, we talk a lot about this, but let me jump in here. Like we talk a lot about these memes, but the thing is does anyone see them outside of Dreams? Because the only thing I imagine them being made for is an easy way to make one so that you can put it on social media. But I never see them.
That is true.
So nobody sees them.
I think they're just in Dreams. I think they're kids wanting the likes, and they get their 10,000 likes. I don't know how many likes they get, and they're happy. And
See, but do
that's
they
fine
get that
with
in
me.
dreams?
Sometimes,
anymore.
yeah, like
Not
not
anymore.
anymore. Not anymore.
Yes.
It's definitely been
Mighty,
reduced.
they do.
But
Huh.
they get liked.
They
Yeah.
get thousands of plays too.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's much better than what it used to be. I mean, before it was just memes
Yeah.
upon memes upon memes, and I had a real issue with it because it was blocking out what I call real creations, people that spent hours and hours on making something amazing for you to play, and it was being overshadowed by the memes. And I think they've done a great job of making the curation a lot better within Dreams to sort of put them at the bottom of the list. So yeah, I think they've done a great job on fixing the problem to a certain extent, but the trending side of things still need to be
Yeah,
at work.
to me, the curation has fixed it. Like I
Yeah,
go to the
it's fixed
curated
in my opinion.
playlist and I see nothing but pretty good quality content
Yeah.
on that Dream Surfing page, and I'm like, yeah, this is good, works for me. And they're hiring another curator, so like it's nothing but more curated content, and I think that's a win. A human's always going to be better at selecting
Of course,
the stuff that's good
Yeah.
or it has a category, and they're just going to be better at it. And I think they're doing the right thing.
I still see plenty of people though, like especially on Twitch, when they load up Dreams and they're new to Dreams, the first thing they end up seeing is still ends up being memes and stuff.
No, that's because they direct
think
search
it's-
that stuff.
Yeah.
You can, yeah, that's direct search mostly is
And
causing that.
did you notice they're hiring for like a senior engineer that has expertise in search as well? So they're
I wouldn't want that job. Jesus.
Me either. I mean, if I got to work at Media Molecule, I'd take it, but
That's. I don't
Still
know.
wouldn't
like
mind
a
a filter.
It's a
They're
hard
just
job.
words I'm just not interested in. That way I wouldn't have to see anything in that thing, and then new trending would be viable.
I don't know. I feel like the person that would want that job is like the difference between me and someone who's good at logic in dreams. It's because for me, I mean, I'll get into it, but this last week, for anybody that's been paying attention to my Twitter, there's really no reason to, but like I've been talking about how I'm trying to get better at logic, and I was like, I'm gonna start small. I want to make like a one like level game. I was talking about last week the Tiny Quest, which you did, Pixel. And I was like, that really inspired me. Not that I thought I could make anything nearly as good, but I was like, that seems like a layout that I could probably get with, and just play around with everything happening on this one screen, and not have any transitions or anything, just a bunch of mechanics, and also starting small.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd consider that small because you don't have a Yovork. I had a Yovork, which really helped. So,
which brings me to my current state. But like I woke up this morning, and for those who were following, y'all saw that MC Alchemist and Tap Giles, they both came to my rescue and was like, "This, I think this is how we can get it done." Blah 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 blah, and Tap made a quick video for me and showed me how he would do all the wiring and everything. And about 70% through watching this video and going step by step, looking back and forth, like pausing it, then like sitting there and being like, okay, now let me really understand what I'm doing and not just copy what he's showing me. And I pretty much I understood it, but then he got to this one point where I was like, yeah, see, this makes me think that it's just not in my blood, which makes me think back to the conversation we had with Scott, who did Tales from Darktown, excuse me, and he was just saying, yeah, like I didn't mess with that stuff because it's not what I'm focused on. I'm focused on story, on the characters, and it made me really sit back and think like, maybe that's just it. Like, is there a point to me suffering to try to learn this? And I think there is. I think I see you, Pixel, but I think there is just in personal growth, because of course, if you can do it, you can play it. You have more tools in the box. But at the same time, it's like, but is there? Because if somebody can just come, if Tap can make a whole video and break it down and like, basically did it in like 5 minutes.
I hear that story and I'm like, man, you picked the wrong idea, or it's not that that's the wrong idea. It's just like, oh, that idea is going to balloon. It's going to be a lot harder than I thought it was initially. I should just scrap it and try something that I know is easier. Like I know enough to know this is hard. Maybe I should just do this. Like, I think Dreams is great for just like, you can get something up and happening on the screen. It might not be a formalized plan, but you can throw a sculpt in there and you can animate it and make it move. And then you can throw a puppet in there and be hit around by that sculpt, and that's kind of fun. It's stupid and you're just getting smacked around, but it has no meaning. But you can get to something fun without a lot of knowledge with Dreams, you know. And I think it's a lot easier to start with, I want to end up with something fun, than to start with, I want to end up with this vision, this platformer of my dreams, or this, you know, RPG of my dreams. If you go into it with like, I'm going to experiment for 10 minutes and find something that's fun, and then just publish something that has that fun element in it, you can have a lot more success.
This is what got me, because, you know, I'm using a character that was like, this is originally something I wanted to make an animated series with, and the whole game mechanic, and this is why I thought it would be like simple, is because it wasn't going to be really extravagant. The main function of the character transforming from like fully grown to a ball or to a short chubby version of himself, that was like the whole thing. So it's like he's in one room. To get out of this room, he turns into the ball and marbles his way into the next room. Like, you know, it wasn't even going to be like a crazy roller coaster marble thing. It was like a straight line. and it's like I can do all that stuff, but I can't get the first step of this character. And it brings me back to something that I believe you brought up, Entropy, in our chat that we had, but, you know, setting all this up. Like, what was everybody's first experience with Dreams? Like, mine was purely beautiful. I would like inspired doing stuff, but what's everyone else's?
I got into Dreams during the beta, I guess, and my first experience was just watching the tutorials they had and learning. They didn't have that many back then in the beta, so it was tougher to learn, I think, back then. But yeah, I mean, it's a learning process for sure. I mean, it's learning any new tool is going to take time. So it took me a long time. I have, you know, not a ton of experience in anything programming. I have, you know, a little bit of experience doing web development and, you know, dabbled in some programming, but no, I would never call myself a developer or a programmer. So I really wanted to learn to do that kind of interactive media element and so that's what I focused on. Because my background is actually more art centric. I was a fine arts major in college, and at one point,
welcome, brother.
definitely have a background in art. So I was like, I can learn another tool to create art. That's not a problem, but I would like to, you know, I'd like to create games or interactive media. That's what I wanted to learn. So it was definitely, I mean, I felt those growing pains, like if trying to learn, you know, the logic systems of Dreams it's a task. It takes time, but yeah, I think you can break it down into smaller elements, and eventually you know it all. And the thing about Dreams is it's a very like physical kind of experimentation. You're like moving wires around, you're putting things on other things and just seeing what happens. So that part of it really appeals to me. It works for my brain. I like that kind of physical interaction almost.
I wonder. So, well, I mean, some of you come from, well, not only just the beta, but from actual game deving. So, like, I guess, like, just to zero in on it, RBD, like, being that you have a game on Steam and, you know, all the Sensorium.
Yes.
Yeah. What was your experience? Like, were you frustrated with maybe not having familiarity, or were you just like, this is all simple? What is this man talking about with logic? It's so easy.
I think another thing that helped a lot was I also came from LBP, and a lot of the gadgets are evolutions of like LBP logic. So a lot of it was just from I opened up create mode and I saw all the gadgets, and so much of it was like already mostly familiar. So but But like even like I was also in the beta. At that time, I had done game development before, but I actually identified more as like a speedrunner online because I used to speedrun Little Big Planet like quite a bit. So when Media Molecule came out with a new game, I was like, oh, new Media Molecule game to speedrun, can't wait. So I opened the beta. My first day was literally just grinding Dreamverse Dash and trying to be first place. And then like, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll try the create mode or something. And I messed around. I made something stupid. And then like, I did some tutorials, went back to the create mode, did something stupid, went back to tutorials, went back to create mode, started Gold Valley. And then that was around when I was like, oh my God, like, I did not realize how cool this was going to be, like, as a creation toolkit. Because, yeah, it just felt like, compared to all the other engines I tried using on, like, PC, like, I went through Game Maker, XNA, Unity, Unreal, like, tried Flash when I was, like, 13, but could not figure out ActionScript. Like, I went through all of those. And then Dreams, it was just like, oh my God, this is by far the easiest thing I've tried. Like, I just want to do this all day. So yeah, like the learning experience was pretty easy for me, just given all the other stuff I'd experienced.
Word. Alpha.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
I remember last time I was here, I had mentioned a little bit of this because I had played other games before, like Project Spark, so I had a little bit going for me, but I didn't have PS4 before Dreams. So when I was immediately, because that Dreams was the first thing I did, when I unpacked the PS4, I immediately bought Dreams, I downloaded it, and then I started doing the tutorials, and I was like, oh my. It was so much more. Because I got Dreams just to make the show that I announced not too long ago. I'm like, this is going to take a bit, but I am here for it. And I struggled through the initial tutorial, just trying to move the blocks and rotate them. And now I can do that. No, I'm like, first, but I eventually got used to it. I think I've played it every day since then. Literally every day.
It's the only game I've played, period. Like since it dropped. And yeah, so it's
I at least had a little bit going for me because of all those different games I played, like Trials, because that had crazy logic stuff in it. Spark was kind of a predecessor in that way. So I had a little bit going for me.
Okay. All right. And Pixel?
Well, I missed the beta. I'm ashamed to say.
Same.
Hey,
I just wasn't
right
paying
there
it.
with you.
I wasn't paying attention at the right moment, and I missed it. But I had been following Dreams for a while, and watched a lot of the demos of them of Media Molecule actually showing it off, showing the logic tools. And so I come from a heavy Flash background. Like, I was deep into the Flash days when that was a thing. I made Flash games. I made Flash websites. I did all that stuff. I even made like Flash kiosk programs, that you'd run on a kiosk. So anything you could think of in the Flash days, I probably touched it or touched that type of thing. So I was very familiar with, programming in general and what it, like kind of what the components of a game are, like how you actually have to think about making one. And so when I saw Dreams like being demoed and what it really was for the first time, because there was that weird period there where nobody really knew what it was. And then when it finally became clear what it was, I thought, man, this reminds me of Flash in a lot of ways. Like the expediency from having an idea and getting it onto the screen, like Entropy said, is like super, super short. Like you can just like get something and play it super fast. Right. And that was one of the strong suits of Flash, was that you could have an idea and implement it really quickly and then see if it actually was something you wanted to pursue. And so that immediately had a strong connection for me. And so when I first got it, I tried to do as few tutorials as possible because I just wanted to jump right into the tools. Because, I'm familiar with like how tool sets work and stuff, but like, Dreams is its own animal. So there was some struggling getting used to like, my main struggle was using the controller to just move around and getting used to that element of the game. But the first thing I made within 2 weeks, the Dream Ski game that I made, and I specifically picked that. I specifically picked that game because I understood how you would make that game, right, from all sides of it. Like I could make that game in Flash in like an evening. You know what I mean? And so like I knew what I needed to do from just a purely theoretical standpoint. I just didn't know how to do that in Dreams. And so I picked that game so that I could just like not have to worry about any of the elements except for how do I recreate my process in Dreams, and does it even work? Like, is there how many one-to-ones are there, and how many completely new things are there? And it's like 50-50, I would say, because like Entropy said, and this is the best way to put it, I think, is that when you're building stuff in Dreams, it's more like a physical thing than it is like a programming thing. Like even the logic feels physical. The way you should approach problems almost has like a physical like solution. Like I tend to think of it like Puppet is a very good name for things, because like when you're thinking about how you move things around, if you think about them purely in programming terms, you can like really make things more complicated than it needs to be. But if you think about it, well, I'm just like picking it up and putting it here. Like if I was to physically do it, like, and like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll just do this thing, you know? Like, so if you put your mind in that place of it's more of a physical realm, I think problems become a lot easier to solve. And
That's
so
part of the. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's it. You're good.
Okay, I was gonna say like that's definitely part of the genius of Dreams for me. Like when I realized how great of a creation tool it was, like coming from all my game dev experience and having to like wade through all this jargon and deal with all this like just like so many things in the way, like between your creativity and the implementation of it. But getting to Dreams and just the way they streamlined, like there were so many little things I could pinpoint. Like I know what that's called in like actual game dev, but they named it something different just to make it more clear. And they got rid of all this headache in the middle. You can actually just like slap it down. You can wire anything up to anything else. Like if you're using an actual engine, you'd have to deal with like these hierarchies, and certain things can only see certain other things for efficiency reasons. And like, it's just such a pain to work with. And it's like, so it's like when I got onto Dreams and I was like, yeah, I had an easy time with it and I enjoyed it because of that. But I also just enjoyed it because I could appreciate like how well they designed it. And it just felt like kind of magic that they had put it together to me. Because it was so much that I didn't even consider it was possible until then.
I tried like developing games just for fun in my spare time over the years, and like, yeah, like you said, there's so many hurdles if you try to do it outside of Dreams. You download, you know, the software you think you need. You're like, oh, I'm going to install this programming language via the command line. I'm like, oh, good. But how do I start going? Like, oh, well, probably you need download another library. And oh, actually, you probably want the IDE. And oh, you probably don't want this version of that. You know, like it's just, there's so many roadblocks, and you end up spending just as much time Googling why your setup is wrong versus why your idea of the implementation is wrong. Like it's a painful process that not a lot of people want to sit through. And it's amazing that they've gotten what they've gotten into Dreams. Like the fact that there's version control in Dreams, it's just like, what? You guys built your own version control for a game?
It's version control you can understand too, which is
which like if anyone's used Git or any of the other, like it's version control is just like a black box. You learn 5 commands and you do those 5 commands. They've made that like
sometimes something breaks, and so you delete the entire project. And
you just know like, oh, I don't know what happened. I got to delete everything and re-download fresh. Like that. Programming is the least glamorous thing, and they've made it as glossy and user-friendly as they can. And I think a lot of people don't appreciate that because they've never really tried. And they're like, oh, this is hard. And like you like this is 10% as hard if you're lucky. Like this is great.
Yeah, that's why I never moved on. Like when Flash like started dying and like it just wasn't a viable career anymore and all this stuff. Like I never like transitioned into like game dev, because like I took 10 minutes looking at that stuff and I was like, nope, not for me. It's way more technical minded, way more like focused on the wrong part of making a game that I enjoy, right? Like in Dreams, Dreams just slices right through all that stuff. You have a little bit of slice. You get a lot of advantages from how streamlined it becomes, because now you can worry about actually designing a game versus worrying about learning, architectures and all these other like paradigms that you're supposed to program like, and all this stuff that's like required knowledge before you get anything
Just being
drawn
able to
on
like,
screen.
just being able to like go on the Dreamverse and grab something and see how someone else did something. Like if you're programming something, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go on Stack Overflow and see if I can find the closest equivalent of this. And people are like, no, you're crazy, man. I don't know why that's broken. Like, and you're done. Like, now you're left on your own. Like, like it's so much better in a lot of ways that you don't really appreciate if you never touch those tools. Like, it's a lot of fun comparatively.
I think
That's not even close.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Oh, no. Don't you ever apologize to me. No.
Okay.
So what you're saying, ultimately, to go back around to my failures in Logic, is that I need to go back. I need to take away characters and everything. And I need to go back to like Atari Quest, where like the hero is a square and the villains are triangles, and they just have different colors, and just start there.
That's a good place to start, maybe.
I mean, that's how the whole premise of Thomas Was Alone was made. Maybe the guy had logic issues as well, and that's how he made it.
I mean, there's another avenue too, is like, you don't have to do this by yourself, right? Like, if you correctly identify the things that you're not passionate about, find somebody who is passionate about it, and have them help you.
See, I don't know.
That's the issue. He wants to win it. He wants to be able to say, "I did it." He wants to win it. He wants to win it. That's his problem.
It's not.
He's like, no, I'm going to do it. I will figure it out.
See, the thing is I don't. It's not that I want to win, because I know I'll never. I know personally that I'm not going to be one of those people ever that someone's like, "Hey, man, I was having this problem with blah blah blah. Can you take a look at the logic?" Yeah, that's not me. I understand that immediately, but I do want to be like, when someone says, "Oh, I'm having trouble with blah 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 blah," and you're in a group of people making a game, I don't want to be lost. Like that's kind of where I am. It's like, I would like to be able to say, "Oh," or look at something and be like, "Oh, well, that might be it, maybe," but then again, good luck.
If you're leading a project, it's definitely good to have at least like baseline knowledge in every part, even if it's not the thing you're directly focusing on, because then you can at least talk to the experts about it, right? If you don't know anything, you can't even communicate with them. So like, I'm certainly not an artist or like an animator or like, but I know enough about those kinds of things that I can at least talk to people who are better at it than me and communicate what I want in a way that they know how to take what I'm saying and like implement it. So like yeah, even if you're not happy with like how you're learning logic and stuff, it's good to stick at it, and like even if you don't think it's in your blood, like I'm confident you could learn enough to at least be able to talk to logic people.
Yeah, I think because I've been reassessing everything, and I think really what it comes down to is I don't think I even know enough to have someone speak to me in a way that I can understand, to even begin to get to where their help is helping. So like, I think like one of the things that I've started doing is like in my free time, because I can't learn through tutorials. I know
Most
that, and that sounds. It doesn't sound weird. Oh, I was about to say something.
No, it's not weird at all.
But like, I'm one of those people where it's like, if someone was like showing me, but I was doing each thing, but it wasn't like a regurgitation. Like when I tried to do the tutorials, and why I wanted to bring up first experience with Dreams is because like I was blown away and I was overjoyed, but once I knew how to move a sculpt, I was like, "Oh, that's what I'm here for," and I was off to the races. Like, because I've always been about character design in film, and it's like, okay, well, I can place things and create things. Of course, you get better as time goes, but I was like, I can place enough to do this project that I've always wanted to do. And as far as animation goes, like, I'm like, I know enough now to try my hand at this, and that grew my love of Dreams to the point where I even care about logic. But now I'm at the logic point, and I've tried to go back and do the tutorials, and it's just like, they'll tell me, like, I went through all of the beginner logic tutorials, and when I got to the end of it, I was like, I feel like I understand more. And then I was like, no, I don't. It's
I mean,
like
to
I
be
just
clear, like
regurgitated and it was done like a multiple choice test. You know,
like I said, I did the tutorial. That was like the first thing I did, and like I slogged through it. But I did not enjoy it. Like, and I would say at the end of those tutorials, I didn't feel like, oh, now I know dreams. I'm cool. I'm gonna go create something. Like I got out of them. I'm like, okay, I know like sort of where things are and sort of what you can do. And then I had to like slog through creating my first project that was like an idea that I thought I could make, and it turned out it took me way longer than I thought it would take, and it was a janky mess by the end of it, and it sort of worked. And then looking back on it, I'm like, man, what was I thinking? That was insane. I don't even know how this worked ever. So like, yeah, you get through the tutorials. I don't think you're gonna be like, oh, I'm a master now. No, it's like, oh, I know enough to know that maybe I look over here and poke with this thing. But yeah, it takes a lot of experimentation for sure.
Tutorials just familiarize yourself with like the environment. Like failing is the only thing that's going to teach you.
Failure is a great teaching tool.
See, MC
half of
Alchemist,
learning logic is just learning what exists and not actually how to use it.
yeah, see, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Like when someone's like, up until recently, so I have improved a bit, I think. But when somebody was like, okay, you need to go ahead and it was MC Alchemist actually. He was like, I think it would be easier for you to do if you used a selector. And I was like, a what? Like he couldn't see my face because we're on the internet. But I was like, you know, that line from 40-Year-Old Virgin where he's like, you know, you're using big words right now, and being that I don't know what they mean, I'm gonna take it as disrespect. That's kind of like I posted that for him because I was just like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I kind of get what he's saying about changing states. But yeah, that just bringing that up, and that's what I mean by I don't know enough to know what I don't know, but being more familiar through stuff like this, I feel like will help me. But then again, he said I was the exact same way 2 years ago. I don't feel like I'm gonna leave Dreams ever, honestly, to be real with people. But when he said 2 years, I was like, do I have 2 years? do I have 2 years?
There's a reason like computer languages are called languages, right? You learn a vocabulary, and that's the same with dreams. Like you can't write a book until you have the words to write the book, and you don't know what those words are until you learn them. So yeah, you got to learn the vocabulary of dreams. You got to learn what these gadgets do, and then you can know what you have to use to build what you want. So yeah, there's definitely that. Like I don't even speak this language, and it seems really foreign at first.
Well, as Gizmo put that, you know, you learn with someone else, and so that the process of figuring it out instead of just learning from the answer. Yeah, that's a great way to put it, because that's what I feel like I'm doing when I do tutorials, and I feel like I'm not getting out of them what I feel like I need. But yeah, as soon as I can, you know, once we get that multiplayer, I'm gonna be an annoyance. I am going to be an annoyance. Somebody's going to be like, oh, I'm going to do work on this thing today. And I'm going to be like, can I get in there? Let me holler at you. Let me see what you working on. Like, that's just it. That's why I really like, that's probably why Acer was like the first person I came across in the community, because I was just like, you know, in the background, I'm like, I've always had my eye on this logic thing, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. So like whenever I would be like, how do you blah blah blah, and Acert will pop up, and I'd be like looking at his stuff. I'm like, man, that looks cool. I can't do none of that. You get like, he even made tutorials or made like the schematics where he's like, hey, you want to make a infinite runner game? I'm like, sure do. And and he made this whole video showing like exactly like what you change, how it works. And I pulled it up because my friend really wanted to make an infinite runner, which is why I was looking into it in the first place. And like both of us looked at it, and my friend tried, but he was just like, yeah, I don't think I can do it. I don't understand how this works. So yeah, I mean, it really is, like you say, a language, and you know, I'm studying. I'm trying to pass the test. I'm trying to pass that vocab test.
It's the same with any creational suite, though. I mean, you know, whether it be Dreams, Unreal, or any other game engine, you know, it's going to be overwhelming at first, especially if you don't have any prior experience in development like some of these guys do. Like, you know, I have no prior experience in game development or anything. So when I first got Dreams, it was super overwhelming. So many tools, so many boxes, so many different things. And it was just like, well, there's a lot to learn here. And so, it can be very overwhelming, but I think for me personally, it was just too much. So that's why I decided to build a team. But that's the great thing about Dreams, though. I mean, there's so many people that's open to collaboration and people that want to work together. I mean, that's a very important part of Dreams, I think, as well. Is working together and building stuff. You can't build everything on your own sometimes. If your project is way beyond your own scope, you're going to need a team of people to do it. And Dreams is a great way of doing that, because I've never really seen a community that is so collaborative before.
It's been a while since I've said this, but not everybody can find a team, James. No, I'm just
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about it. Because one of my favorite things about Dreams is that there is no wrong way to do something. Like, sure, getting a team of people is a great idea, but it's not a great idea for everyone. Some people just work alone. Some people just work better, or maybe they're trying to improve their individual skills. Like, the great thing about Dreams is that it doesn't matter which way you want to do it, because either way works. If you want to do
it's going to be the same.
Gucci's Bell, for example, an amazing group of people, which you'll need to get on this podcast, made that. But even one person could have made that. Like, we have access to the same tools. It's just a difference of time. It would take a lot longer for one person to do it, because they'd have to learn it, they'd have to get better at it. But still, we all have the same tools here. So with enough time, even one person could do that.
True, anybody could, do it. I mean, anybody could make Noguchi's Bell, I suppose. It's not out of the scope of Dreams, but you have to consider that there is particular people within the community that are especially skilled at different things. It's like, one person's really brilliant at doing art, someone else is a mastermind at logic. And from my perspective, it's like, well, why would you not want to put all these people together to create something in a much faster time format than you would be able if you tried to do it separately? That's just the way I see things. I think, collaboration is key, but, there's nothing stopping you from doing it on your own, but it's going to take a lot longer to master everything before you even be able to create what you want to create.
It's not everyone has time, but it's like motivation as well. And I'm speaking from experience with like releasing Sensorium, because that was a mostly solo project. There were so many moments where I was like determined to spend so much of it myself, but it wasn't even a time issue. It was just like, I don't even think I want to work on this anymore, because it's just the same thing and it's such a grind and it's so many different skill sets you need to handle yourself. Yeah. And it's like, if you don't enjoy even just one of them, then it's like, you're just not going to want to do it ever. Even with all the free time in the world, your brain is just going to be like, nope, you don't enjoy that. Don't do it.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason most of the things I've created in Dreams are like these mini game or like, bigger mini game arcade type of things, like, because that's a manageable scope and you don't get to that grindy phase, like not really. Like if you're working on something for like 2 weeks or a month, even, that's still manageable. You can pop in, pop out, and you can see the finish line. When it's like the finish line is, I don't know, maybe someday, like that, that's a tough thing to sell to yourself and to keep going. Like it's a grind at that point. You're like, well, I know it'll be great, but it's just like, that'll be for future me. Right now, it sucks for me.
the biggest limiter for making a game or whatever in Dreams or otherwise is not skill. Like you can learn skill, you can gain skill, but the biggest limiter is going to be your own personal passion and like how much you are personally invested in the project. Because if you don't love what you're making, you're going to stop. And I think a lot of people underestimate how important it is how important it is for you to be personally invested, because making something long, like making something that is big or complex or a longer experience is going to require you to get through a lot of moments where you don't want to keep going, like because you're going to hit that over and over and over again, especially if your time frame is like 2 years or more.
I mean, even
like
in
RBD,
games where I'm working on it for like 2-3 months, I have to like play games with myself, like, oh, now I'm gonna go work on the UI as a treat for myself, or now I'm gonna find music, like oh, today I'm gonna switch over to like this. That's all the same thing, you're just grinding with, but you're like, oh, today I'm gonna
you gotta save the enjoyable stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
Those really
just like
So I'm gonna take this moment to really go into I guess a little fact-finding mission for myself. As I tell people, like, I'm busy running my own business, doing a bunch of stuff all the time. It's one of the reasons we only have this once a week. But like, what has been the most inspirational thing either like all of you have seen on Dreams so far? Like, what's a project that you looked at and you were like, wow, that's the thing. That's a goal. That's inspiration. And I'm smelling your eyes, RBD. I thought you were going to say something earlier when we were talking about. We were talking about something. I can't even remember anymore. We've gone through so many things. But, yeah. So we'll get around to RBD last.
I mean,
I
know
do
for me-
have an answer though, but yeah, I'll let everyone else go first.
Oh, yeah.
I know for me at least it
go
was Cybersheet Films. Like before I even had Dreams, they and Rabbit and Boy was like one of the things I saw where I'm like, I'm wanting to make this show, and this is proof that I can do it. This is proof that Dreams is absolutely the way I'm going to be able to do this. And the Gucci's Bell was just like even more inspiration for like, oh yeah, I can absolutely do the show I'm wanting to make. If that's possible, what I'm wanting to make is absolutely possible. So I definitely look to their stuff when it comes to like inspiration for what I'm going to make.
Okay.
Honeyworld was also pretty good.
for me, it's both like I'm continually impressed that like people who have no experience making games are making what they're making, and also like nobody's making anything that I would say is a game I would see on Steam and have say has a shot at success, just because that's really, really, really hard. And so it's really hard to get to that level. Like even the best games in Dreams are still predominantly Dreams games. You know, they're good Dreams games, and I think they're super impressive and super fun. But I don't think they're AAA games, and I don't think they want to be. I don't think they're trying to be. And I think AAA games, yeah, and they don't need to be. And I think they're a fun experience and really fun to play. But AAA games, there's a reason they cost millions and millions of dollars and take a team of 300 to make.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we're single person making games for fun. So I'm always impressed by what is done, and I'm always impressed on like a microscopic scale of like, oh, this is amazing. They like the new Gucci's Bell or whatever, that like disappearing effect. I'm like, man, that would have taken so long to do that. Like you had to paint strokes over this guy and make it like disappear in real time like that. That's super impressive. Even within the microcosm of Dreams and these tools, that's so impressive. I'm really impressed by that.
That said, though, I would absolutely buy Trigon and Lock on Steam if I could. I would absolutely buy those games.
I think there's a lot of games that are on that like mini game. Like I would throw a few bucks to play this, and I think they're quality games. Like Trigon, yeah, like you said, it has a lot of polish and it's fun and it's a good game in like this mini game experience. And I think, yeah, they have a lot of value. It's just it's a different thing.
I don't think we're ever gonna really get to that AAA style within Dreams purely because of
not with that attitude.
Well, no,
It's certainly not going to be
and unless you've got a team of 300 people collaborating in Dreams, you're not really going to get to that point. But I definitely think Dreams has the scope to build premium indie style games. I mean, look at the Snow Gardens, for instance. I mean, to look at that, you wouldn't even know it was made in Dreams. I mean, that's just pure indie quality content. And, if you saw that up on Steam for $9.99, you wouldn't argue the fact of it. It looks beautiful and it's super polished. But, if you're talking AAA, God of War, no, you're not going to see that in Dreams, but it doesn't portray to be that. It is an indie platform.
You say that, and then once we get the PS5 update, Me Monster is going to put out this amazing thing. You can do this too. Take that.
I don't even know why we want to be AAA, because I haven't played a single AAA game that didn't suck. So I'm not sure I understand the desire.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Well, I
have
think
so many games I instantly just want to ask you about now.
Yeah.
I mentioned like High Score Wars and the community project things like the Dreamscom and Halloween thing. Like I think there'll be reasons to come to Dream for experiences that you can't get anywhere else. These large scale like just community driven collaborations between hundreds of people, that you're never going to find that anywhere else. And I think that's where the gold is. Like that's where the people will keep coming back to Dreams for.
I think already Dreams has like exceeded the value of its asking price already,
Oh, I
and
mean,
we're barely
10 times
past tier
over.
1.
Yeah, I mean, people, and I'm not getting back on this topic. Okay, I'm not getting back on the topic, but once
here we go.
people, once people, no, once people realize, once people realize that it exists, it's going to be it's going to be incredible. I mean, just there was a person I was talking with earlier today who followed me out of nowhere, so I decided to see who this person was, and they work in VFX. And they were like, "Thanks for being my first follower," blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Hey, it's cool, bro." And he was like, "I want to get into game design." And I'm like, "Well, have you heard of Dreams?" And like, he knew nothing about me really, but I was like, "Have you heard of Dreams?" And I showed him a bunch of work from all the people we've talked to, and he was like, "Dude, I had no idea anything like this existed." And I was like, "Good, now go buy it." Like, you know, that's all I can tell people now. It's just
followed you out of nowhere.
Huh?
You said he randomly followed you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Then how did he not know who you was? How did he find you?
I don't know, but you know what? It's the internet. I don't care. He's just
Like
another
the cut
person
of your
that
jib.
Yes. I don't know.
There's a lot of people on the internet.
Yeah. So I mean, all I care about. I mean, honestly, all I care about is that someone else knows about Dreams. So I'm not getting into the whole conversation. Just want to say that once people know, I think it's going to be a great thing, and that we're going to see an explosion that's going to knock those memes right off that front page. No, I'm just.
What inspires you in Dreams?
What?
I'm changing the subject.
Aww.
But I the reason I brought up that last question was because I had time today. Because I know most of you are probably questioning, like, well, why don't you have more time, being that you're bedridden? I got my crutches over here today. They're saying hi, but like I actually got time to to play some games today, and you know, I came across Slice and Modi, some Thor. What is
for
the,
hours, dude.
what is the new one? The new experimental one, Solar. Oh God,
Is that what it's called? Solar Punk?
yeah, Solar Punk. Like, and just seeing, just being,
play later.
yeah, being able to get out there and just see more people's like actual creations and spend more time like looking at them, and so like a lot of that stuff just really inspirational. So that's why I was trying to see what people have seen that really didn't like. Of course, I agree with Insane Alpha Beta being that film is my thing. You know, Cyber Sheep were like the first ones that I saw to really like go after it in a long form. The other one was the
Isn't too. I should have mentioned him.
And the other ones were the I think it was the Japanese developer player that came up with the short film with the bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
You talking about Honey World?
yes. And so like those things for me really inspired me. But let's keep going. Like Pixel, I don't know if you gave an answer or if you were just an arc. Is there anything? I don't know. That face you just made. That
I
face.
don't
know what impresses you.
I don't like this question.
I don't like anybody's
knock your
stuff.
socks off, Pixel. Come on.
I hate everything. Like
I'm gonna give a cop out answer to this because I what inspires me is people and like watching people make games. Like watching people, it is a cop out. I already said that. It's 100% a cop out. Watching like RBD, watching Acer, watching Keld, watching people actually work in Dreams is what inspires me the most. Like because it's like watching people.
I get the subtext there. I hate all your games. Got it.
Games, okay. In general, games don't inspire me. If it's inspiration I'm looking for, playing a game isn't going to do that. It's like an idea is going to inspire me. Somebody like following what they want, you know, like following their passion is what inspires me. Like the end result is just something I play, I guess is the way I put it, the way I see it. Like, I mean, my opinions are shaped by what I play and like that kind of thing. But and I like things and I don't like things, but nothing. I've never played something and been like, oh, I have to make something like this now. Like I don't really feel like it doesn't even make sense to me actually. So.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm horrible about playing games. I just don't really do it.
Yeah, I don't.
If I'm sitting in front of the couch and I have free time, I'm like, I'm gonna create something, and so it's just hard for me to hold myself away from that and play something.
See, I'm trying to fix that about myself because because I came in initially doing that, I separated myself from the community. And so like after I finished that first ill-fated project, then I was like, oh, well, now I'm getting to know people and I don't just want to, just be on the outskirts. Like I really want to know people. It's kind of follows my whole, has anyone here ever been to a Comic-Con or anything
Unfortunately,
of the sort? Okay. See, those don't interest me, especially the things about like where you're taking pictures with celebrities or whatever. Like people go crazy for that stuff, but I wouldn't want to be at a place like that unless I could actually like sit down, have a drink and talk with the people who I actually follow their careers, like ask them about their process, like the whole reason I do this show. It's like that's what interests me. And so like I'm like I can't do that from the outside of the community where I'm at now. Like I need to go in and try to be more active, not just with, oh, I'm bringing out this thing, but actually see what people are creating and stalking them in their comment sections. And
like why? Like why are they making the thing they're making? Like to me, that's going to inspire me more than anything is just hearing like the thought process and the reason why somebody's going to invest all this time and energy and effort to make a thing. Like I want a piece of that. Like that's what gets me excited.
Yeah. So
I'm curious though, if there was
what?
Okay,
good.
Well, you say
there
like,
was
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you're saying you go and play because you want to be a part of the community. I guess I go and like hang out in a Twitch chat and I watch people play because I don't like it's a separate time for me. I'm like, I'm gonna create, and then if I want to engage and talk with people in the community, I can go in a Twitch chat or something, and that's how I get that engagement. And I think there's room for there should be room for all types of people. People want to just create, just want to play, just want to do some mixture of it. I think there's enough room for everyone to just hopefully do what they want to do and whatever makes them happy and has made the most fun. That's what people should be doing.
Yeah, I generally enjoy watching. I generally enjoy watching people play games more than I like playing them myself.
Yeah, same. Maybe it's my I'm lazy in my play. I'm like I'd rather watch someone play.
Play for me, Blair.
Hey, could you just play this for me? That'd be great.
Yeah,
I really enjoy actually playing them because since getting Dreams, like I always had an appreciation for game development. I always loved looking into the process of how things are made, and like whenever I have a favorite game, I always loved watching the behind the scenes videos of how things is done. But until you've actually gone in and attempted to do it yourself, I don't think you ever have that true appreciation for game development. And so when I'm playing things in Dreams and the character's movement is like super smooth, or the mechanic they've built is really polished, I have such an appreciation for it, and it just makes playing the game even more enjoyable because you're like, how did they make it so well? It's like you messed in with the controls of the character. It's like this is done to such perfection. It makes, for me at least, it makes playing the games on Dreams more enjoyable because you have an appreciation for the art form on the the platform that you're on. And the one creation that I really loved and inspired me was, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's called Constellation or something, the one with the piano on his back.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I really
the final Constellation, I think.
Yeah, really, really like that. I love the whole emotional atmosphere that they created with the music and everything. It's just really, really brilliant title.
I did see just real quick, I saw Magma saying he likes to. I like to watch him fail at his games, and I would just like to set the record straight that I do, in fact, enjoy watching everyone fail at my games.
I don't have to play games while I'm cackling over your failures.
There's a special warm spot in my heart when I watch people struggle to play my games.
Yeah. We are on the same. We agreed on the same thing. Watching people like tear their hair out playing Lock has got to be the
Your
most
pain is my enjoyment, is what I'm
enjoy-
trying to get at. Yeah.
enjoyable experience.
Do you like make it your goal to make it frustrating? Is
No.
that like
Yeah.
a goal? Right, I'm going to make this puzzle so difficult because I
feel
want
like-
to see the reaction on Twitch. I want to be there and watch them rip their hair out.
It's very easy to make a difficult puzzle, so that I don't get any enjoyment out of that, to be honest. So.
He's lying.
Do you just pour like a glass of wine and just sit back and you're like,
Whiskey.
fools,
Always whiskey.
fools! How dare you even try to?
And then you make it so they can't leave the game either.
Oh God! Now you can't leave. So, and we're finally at RBD though. RBD, we got to
real quick before I forget. You
Mhm.
mentioned you're not interested in like a Comic Con, right? But if we ever got a real life Dreams Con, you'd still be there, wouldn't you? We'd all be there.
This
I
is
would.
well, we talked about this, and I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it, but I would still be disappointed if I got to it and had the same issue that I would have at a Comic-Con. Like if I go to that thing, it's because I want to speak to the creators, I want to speak to Media Molecule, and if everybody's just up on stage like talking and there's no real like, hey, I've been following you for whatever, like, hey, let's go get a drink. Like if I don't have that intimate or the ability to have that intimate conversation with like someone that I admire, then I don't feel like being in their presence is going to do me any good. Like that I don't get a high off of it. I'm not a teenager. Like,
A convention like that, though, does bring all of those people into the same area, so then you can initiate stuff like that, right? That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But you can do that. You can do that without an event.
See,
That's
and
true.
and I argue, but see, the thing is, it brings everybody together, but at the same time, it's a lot of shows that are set up like that. You still have barriers. Like there's still walls around you from having the actual intimate conversation. Now, if I went and I saw you guys, I would be like, "Oh my God, it's good to see you in person. Let's go get a drink. Let's rage." No, I'm just.
None of us are famous enough to have those barriers.
No,
Yeah,
but that's the thing. I would like love to anybody that's been on this show, all the people of the community that I know, that I've spoken to, like I'd love to speak with you. And so it would be a little bit easier in a Dreams Con, if you will, because basically we're all those people. Like like everyone is the person you want to speak with. But, like I said, so that's still different.
Plus, everyone can be there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be less excited about, meeting the developers of MM. I mean, I would love to meet them, talk to them. That'd be fun. But yeah, just meeting other people in the community. That's why I would go to a DreamsCon type of thing. Although you are giving me second thoughts with how intimate it's going to get. Like maybe we want some barriers. That's
I don't know, if Andy Mason's there, I don't mind it getting intimate.
I mean, I'm just saying. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to be intimate. Yeah.
maybe I should embrace it. Embrace the intimacy.
Yeah, I'm be like, if I could just bump hands with people, like I'll be walking by casually and just be like, oh, I bumped Robo's hands. Maybe I'll get some of his skill.
Now I'm out.
You just bump him just a little bit. That's it. You just bump him and be like, can I get maybe some of his understanding of the sculpting will rub off his essence, and I'll just
I'm back on the virtual train.
You want to bump his essence?
Hey.
Dude.
Wait. What was your question, Pixel? What did you ask? I didn't hear you. There were multiple people. What?
I said you want to bump his essence.
You want to bump his essence?
Yeah. You heard that 100% correct. No, and if you're there, boy. No.
We can bump essences. That's fine.
See, that's what I'm saying. Everybody should be open about essences. That's okay. That's all I'm saying. We're all here enjoying each other in ways. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, fine. But no, let's
We
finally
need that
get
on a
to...
t-shirt. I want to
Let's-
bump your essence.
I'll have it drawn up by next week. Anyway. Sponsored by Media Molecule. Not really. They're suing me. But that's... But
Sure.
no, hold on. RBD, we never got around to you. What's the thing that you saw? What's the thing that you've seen that you were just like, I'm here for it? Let us know. Let us know.
I feel like originally you were trying to bait a negative answer out of me, but
No.
no, but honestly, it was Locke. I think like by no means do I think it's a perfect game, but
It isn't.
When I saw it and played through it, I was like, well, I need to start trying harder now because like it actually raised the bar. Like this is what I want to aim for now. I don't. Before Locke, it was like, okay, I can use Dreams to make at most like a few months long. Like my biggest project can be like a few months development time, and in between I can do some silly, like funny creation thingies that make people laugh and are super janky but still kind of fun to play. And I played Locke and I was like, okay, I want like my next big thing to be like actually big and actually like I want it to be big enough that people would be able to talk about it outside of Dreams realistically and buy Dreams just to play it. And like I feel like I don't know if Locke is quite there, but it's close enough to that bar that like that I want to reach that bar now because of Locke.
I feel like you could show that game to someone and trick them into thinking it's a legitimate game. You
It
could
is
absolutely do that.
I think there's a lot of Dreams game that can do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, that's right. Go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think there's a lot of games in Dreams that you could trick people into thinking it was a real game. I guess trick being a word I probably wouldn't really use, but
Yeah.
I also by no means think Locke is perfect, and I definitely don't think it crosses that threshold that you're saying as well.
You're an artist.
Well, I see that there's some major issues with it.
Of course you see.
I would change knowing what I know now. But
It's definitely one of the few
Everyone's the
Dreams
biggest
that makes that apparent. Like, oh, this you could like. There's nothing stopping anyone from making that game in Dreams. Like the experience that is a full-fledged game in Dreams. The tools are there, obviously.
Just a matter of time.
And it's also like yeah, I can point out issues with Locke, but it's like, and maybe there are Dreams that have relatively fewer issues, but those Dreams are so much smaller in scope and like so much less impressively designed in the first place that I just like Entropy touched on it a little bit when he was answering this question, and I kind of agree. Like, from an outside gamer perspective, I've been largely unimpressed with like most of the Dreams creations. Even like the best of the best in Dreams, I still like it's not quite something you could sell outside of Dreams. I feel like it'd get torn apart by people who've never played Dreams, because I think that's like, as creators, when people play our stuff in Dreams, that's sort of a luxury we have, that the people playing Dreams have also tried the create mode themselves, and they know how hard it is to make something. So there's like this little thought at the back of their head where they're like, I know it was really hard to make, and that's causing like some sort of bias where I don't actually hate this as much as I would have if I were playing this outside of Dreams. Because like if you're not so aware of how hard the creation process is, then a lot of games just seem a lot worse.
The thing is, though, I think that Dreams actually gives people insight into how difficult making games actually is outside of Dreams too.
That's my
I think
point, though.
Everywhere.
That's my point, though, is that if you just want, if you want to increase the player base, get the general gamer crowd in here and start playing a lot of Dreams, I don't think they're gonna like a lot of the things, because largely the gamer crowd is not familiar with game development at all. Like, you go to any game forum, people are complaining about like the dumbest stuff, and like that.
This is correct.
That would never work because they don't understand the process, and like I don't know. I don't really know where I'm going with this.
No,
but
I
like,
get what you're saying, but I honestly think that it kind of goes into what Jamie had said on a previous episode where he was talking about how, they're gearing up, people are making bigger and bigger projects, and then once they're done, like, but at the same time, I think you're right to feel that way, but also I think that's giving things made outside of Dreams a little more credit than some of them deserve. Because I've personally seen. Well, we definitely don't need that road. Like we don't need that offshoot. We don't need to talk about that. But like, it's like I get what you're saying, and I have to believe that in a world where you have games that aren't made on PS4 or PS5 and still make money, and some of them don't even look as good as what people who I guess we wouldn't even consider to have big projects. Like I've seen a bunch of side-scrolling, pixel art games crop up in Dreams where I'm just like, hey, that looks the same quality, and playing them, that looks the same quality and feels the same quality as what I bought last week on Steam. And I mean, I don't think anyone's going to look at it and think, anybody's first person shooter is COD. But at the same time, there's still like this huge gradient of games where Dreams and the level of fidelity people have made so far does fit into that. Like, I mean, just I was playing, today when I was going through stuff, what is it? Slice. Like Slice is actually a game that I definitely see could exist outside of Dreams, and even if someone didn't know, they wouldn't grade it as, oh well, it's a Dreams thing.
I think
I don't think Slice would review well.
I think I
outside
agree with
Dreams.
what RBD said. It's not that the quality of the experience is not there. Like it's not like Slice is a good quality game. It's really, really, really polished. Got a lot of nice little details, but the scope is definitely way less than gamers outside of Dreams would expect. Like even with
10
15,
times
15 levels or something in 3 worlds. I don't know what it is, but
And
the scope is smaller.
it's even like I feel like we put up with a lot of things when we play things in Dreams though too, and we've kind of stopped noticing them. Like, we've stopped noticing how annoying it is when certain things happen because we're like,
we have Dreams goggles basically.
Yeah. And like you brought up Slice, like I don't want to bash it, but like everyone's saying a lot of good things about it. So if
do it.
pay more attention to that, in my opinion. But like I didn't really enjoy Slice that much. Like I felt like the controls were kind of annoying to deal with, and like sticking with like the walls were really sticky, and the double jump felt kind of useless because you had 3 midair slashes anyway, and it was hard to read when you could use a double jump. And like there are all these little things that like it was impressive that he made a custom character like that in Dreams and made it feel as polished as it did. But globally speaking, it didn't feel that polished to me personally. And I feel that way about like a lot of things in Dreams. Like I could pick anything in Dreams, even like the top stuff, and find like equally valid complaints about it. I won't.
I feel like you're trying to go No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and as playing it, I definitely see that. But at the same time, I mean, I've felt the same way. Like for me, everybody knows Super Meat Boy. Okay, so let's just compare the two. It didn't have as many controls per se. It was more on having those like really precise mechanics, and then the levels were made so that if you messed up on those precise mechanics, you died. I felt like Slice was like, you have these mechanics and all these different things you can do. The levels aren't that difficult, but you can still die. So it was like it allowed you to have more freedom of movement and fun with what your character was doing. as opposed to nailing or like really focusing on the preciseness of things. If I'm making any sense, I don't know. Like I mean, I don't claim to know what the dev was thinking when making it, but that's something that I felt while I was playing it. It's like I had more of a freedom of movement to have more fun with the game, but there were still things that, like, I wasn't punished for every single thing that I did like I would in a game like Super Meat Boy, which is amazing. But yeah.
And I also want to say, like, my standards might be unrealistically high for stuff made in Dreams, because pretty much everyone who makes stuff in Dreams is like a hobby dev. And like making a super polished, high quality game takes a lot of time, and it's kind of hard to ask people to put that time into it to do that.
But if you don't have those standards, we'll never get there as well. So
Right.
like you
Yeah.
gotta have, like, I mean, I spent a year making Lock, and it probably needed a whole nother like year or more to actually be something that I would be very happy with, like from a polish, from a design standpoint. There's probably a year or 2 more years worth of work I should have done to that game.
Yeah, I'm equally critical about all my stuff too. Like, a little perspective, I should have like spent 3 times as long making that, because I had so many issues.
And
when I said a little more perspective,
That's a lot to ask of a hobbyist too. Like, right? Like, we're all just doing this in our free time, and if that isn't in someone, if like it takes 100,000 people to get one person that wants to do that, that's fine. I think what we're saying is the tools are there. It's possible. Maybe someone will do it. Maybe no one will. Either way, but I think it's just fun to know that the platform could do it if you wanted to. If someone was crazy enough to spend 4 years developing something, they could do it. I don't think it's a failure of Dreams if no one does that, because we're all just, like I said, doing this week on the weekend or something. It's just
exactly.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely a time investment. Like, you're never going to get around that. Like, that's just always going to be the case.
Yeah.
it's one thing. There really is a different mindset that people have when they play Dreams games. I was talking to Joe Ryan last night about this. When you buy a game and you die in it, you put money in it, you're going to keep playing it. But people, when it comes to how they play Dreams games, they have this different mindset where there's not really a loss if they just quit and go do something else the moment they die. And so I think people aren't as willing to try in Dreams games like they would an actual game.
I don't agree with that at all. But
yeah, given how much time people put in Lock, like
I think that's a design failure and not cost analysis. Like, people get free games all the time that they don't quit. Like, I don't think there's a sunk cost issue with the Dreams or non-Dream games. I think if killing a player makes them quit, then that's a design problem, not a how much money you spent to play a thing problem. Conversely, if somebody only plays your game because they paid money for it, that's also a design problem. So,
yeah,
I would have to agree.
It's like, you see all these free-to-play games, and they're doing absolutely fine. No one's paid anything to play that, or unless you want to invest the money into it.
But the interface for switching games, like if you're playing a game on PC, like a free-to-play game, and you die and you just want to switch to something else, there's a lot more overhead to like having to close the game, go find another game, open that up, wait through a loading screen, open that. In Dreams, it's like thumbs up, exit. There are already like 20 games on the screen you can play.
Yeah, but that just means the onus is even more on us to design games that people don't want to quit.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's great for amateur creators. Like, oh, I already suck, and you have a short attention span because you can leave it in a moment. So like,
yeah,
that's one of the if we circle way back to high score wars, that's also another thing that's great about it, is it gets people to sit down and put in at least like a little bit of a time investment into each game, and that lets you appreciate
the fact that you're doing it with the community, like doing it with other people, and they're experiencing the same issues that you're experiencing, like the scoreboard breaks after level, whatever. Like, you're all like, oh man, that's crazy. How do we beat other people's score in this broken game? And it's still fun. Like that. Like everything becomes more fun the moment you do it.
How do we break it more?
People. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons like I'm excited about multiplayer. Like I think making games that people interact with each other is just going to be so fun. Like I really look forward to that.
Yeah,
Oh, imagine
multiplayer is going to be a game changer for Dreams. It's going to open up so many different types of games and stuff.
Multiplayer is like something like in my wildest dreams, like maybe I can see myself making a single player game and releasing it to 10 people that play it on Steam and forget about it. But I can never imagine doing online networking and matchmaking and stuff like that. And if there's a tool that lets me do that, that's crazy. Like I would love that.
I wonder what the logic's going to be like for
Paintings
multiplayer.
together too, because that's going to be nuts.
I don't even want to like a multiplayer challenge. Trying to put multiplayer into Dreams seems like a headache and a half. Because what has to change to make that work?
Yeah,
from like just a creation side. Yeah, from a creation side, like do they just leverage?
I've been thinking about tools. How I would update all my existing creations to allow multiplayer, and it's just like, oh god, like I did not set this up for multiplayer.
And that's assuming that they're going to actually give us like multi-camera multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like how do you even set that up in a Dream? Like, well, is it what I mean? Like, what's that going to be like? That's a really like, is it just the same camera and both players have their own version of it? Like, how does that work? And how do you communicate that to the creator, to the person creating?
How do you show UI on one screen and not on the other screen?
Yeah, how does any of that work?
Not the other.
My thoughts.
Luckily, they probably already asked those questions.
Even if it's like the most basic version of some sort of interactive, multiplayer experience, like I think it would still be fun. Like I would argue that just having like one variable you can share across all users would open up a lot of opportunities for fun things. Like
of course.
So if it's even the most basic version of some sort of persistent thing across users would be so fun.
Right, like if they just gave us, and we've had this conversation on Twitter, if they just gave us a scoreboard gadget that let us pull the scoreboard into the game, that in and of itself would enable so many things.
I would corrupt that so fast to do other things.
It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much, to your point, to make something meaningful like that.
Yeah, just the idea that like you could have some sort of persistence across all players is really fun and appealing to me. Like if you could say anyone reaches a score and it changes your game, like anyone across everyone playing, that would be so fun to me.
So cool.
Yeah. And like to me that seems like that's not a huge change. Obviously sharing that data across all users, I don't know what implications that means for servers or whatever, but like logistically the logic of that doesn't seem that different from what we have today, and it would be a fun thing to play with.
Like, just imagine you're playing something like Trigon, and in the top right, you have the current high scores, and they update live, so you can see who the top person is and where you need to get to, how far you need to get. Oh, that'd be so cool.
I'm imagining like a Ready Player One thing after what like where there's like a big scoreboard, and then you just see like one person's name pop up on it, and suddenly there's like a new challenge like unlocked.
Like this is getting a little far-fetched, but like I think in a way Dreams is the closest thing we have to the metaverse. Like it's a tool anyone can pick up and use and create interactive experiences. Anyone can pick up and create 3D models. If there was some sort of persistence across everyone, like even if it was limited, I don't know what's going to happen with multiplayer, but if you could have a world that's shared with 8 people and they can all experience it together, like the fact that you can create everything from the user's perspective opens up so many opportunities. It's the closest tool we have, I think, to something like that, the metaverse tool. Like people have talked about this, like what's that, Second Life and stuff, like all those types of things. It was so hard to do anything in those tools, and Dreams makes that possible. So that I don't know where Dreams will end up, but those are the things that like excite me looking way into the future of Dreams.
Indeed. So we have actually reached the allotted hour and a half. I would like to keep going if people have the time, but I just want to bring it.
I mean, didn't the last one go for 2 hours?
It went close.
Pretty close.
I could have sworn when I looked at it, it went like just over 2 hours.
I have to take a 1 minute if we're going to keep going.
All right. Take your 1 minute.
Yeah, I've got a few more minutes.
Bonus round.
Yes, bonus round. All right. So while we wait for him to get back, RBD, tell me, are you gonna tutor me on Logic once we get multiplayer? Are you
Would
gonna?
you like me to? I don't feel like I'm someone who's very good at explaining things. I just kind of do them, but
Dude, I feel that so
I'm gonna
much.
study. I'm gonna study up so that I get my vocabulary up, and then when they do multiplayer, I'm gonna jump in, and I'm just
by
gonna
the time
bring in,
Tap
like,
by the time multiplayer drops, Tap will have an online school set up. So don't worry. just be able to enroll in Tap's university.
That is probably the case. That's probably the case. But I do notice, like, one of the things, like, when I do try to watch people do any type of tutorial, it's not even just in dreams. It's like growing up, I wanted to play guitar really bad, but I only got my hands on one like once a year when I would go see my cousin. And so I'd take that time to be like, okay, now I can learn something to practice at some point. And like, you'd watch people do guitar tutorials and they're just like, so what you want to do is, and I'm like, what? and so I think that's something that I've noticed with people doing tutorials. There's little details about what they're doing that come natural to them, and so they don't mention it in
I think
the
with
creation.
tutorials, like, there's a big thing that's missing is the process. Like, they can explain how to do something and how it works, but like, a lot of the time you don't have all of that in your head when you're starting with something. What you have is like a very simple idea. Like, I made like, I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. Like, I'm making like a jam entry with a little side scroller shooter guy.
He was. I put him in the intro of this episode.
So
I love it.
I didn't use a puppet for some reason. I made like a custom. I basically like it's just like an invisible hitbox with paint glued to it, and I did all the movement and jumping and stuff myself. And Yovork was like, "Well, now what do you like? What if you want moving platforms?" And like, someone might be like, "I don't know, if the box is standing on it, then the platform will just carry it, like, no problem." And then you might go try that and see if it doesn't work. It'll just like slide off and fall. So it's like, okay, I need a way to make it stick to the platform. All right, I'll stick a tag onto the platform, make it teleport to it. That's simple. So then you try that, and then it's like, okay, every time you land on a platform, you teleport to the exact same spot, and you can't walk on the platform now. So it's like, how do I make it walk on the platform? Well, I could move the tag left and right if I attach a piston to it, maybe. So then like you can, and then control the piston length with like the left stick. So then that's a thing you can try, but then it'd have a problem where you land on the platform and you teleport to the same spot, but now you can walk to it. So then it's like, okay, so the next problem is, how do I make it stay in the spot that it landed on the platform? And then that's the next problem you work towards. And then it's like all these little things build up, and you're not thinking about them all the first time you try to make something. You're thinking about the very simplest case. You try it, you see the problems, you try to fix them, you see new problems, you try to fix them, and eventually it just works. If you just make a tutorial of that, you skip all of the little steps where you don't know what you're doing, and it just seems so much easier than it actually is. And that's what makes people assume you have to be like a logic genius to do stuff.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that people just leave out of tutorials.
I mean, to be fair, though, having Elka say pew and that's the gun was genius, so...
He was the only dream streamer I recognized online, and I needed a voice actor, so...
Genius.
Indeed. So you are planning on making a full game out of that, though?
I'm planning to publish whatever I have by Tuesday, because we're jam.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
well, after everything after all the crap I was talking about shooters last week, and I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, I immediately take everything I said back. because that was everything. I was like, you know what? I can do this. This is what I would play as a shooter. It would just be a pew 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 pew
Pew pew pew.
It's genius. I love it. So
yeah, I really liked that jam theme. I think those jam themes where it's just like a hard thing to wrap your head around and create that very specific implementation. Those are the ones that I'm always like, oh, that's super impressive when someone makes pew pew pew. You know, like I wouldn't have thought of that. Like that's super impressive when people take one word and make something like that's a hard prompt to like think about. So
Like
I always enjoy those.
Was making something for the one button jam.
Yeah, it's definitely one button esque.
Yeah, one button jam was great. I love the variety when you have something so simple like make a game with one button, and then you see all these completely different games. You know, everyone stuck it in a completely different light, and you see things that you wouldn't necessarily have thought of yourself. That's what makes it so cool. I love the jams because for creators, it really pushes you to get really creative. Like when you have such a limitation of just one button, it's like, what can I create that's fun and engaging with literally one button? Like, I really like those jams because it really pushes the creators to think outside of the box.
I'm also kind of like not super attached or religious about the jam themes too. Like, because if I get going and I like an idea and I have a deviation that like I'm like, yeah, if I start deviating but I still like the idea, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna hose my good idea because it fits some jam. You know, like to me, it's just a prompt to get you going on a creative process, and sometimes something good comes out of it. Sometimes it's crap, but you know, like it's just something to do in the community, some common theme, and I don't put a huge weight on adhering religiously to it.
Okay, well, as my last topic, I guess that I did want to bring up is someone was talking about. Someone posted a video where they were moving physical objects in dreams with a fan outside of dreams. Like, I'm not sure.
Sorry?
It was posted earlier. It was posted earlier today, I believe. And the person had set up this rig where they had a fan in their hand, and they were literally like putting it in a sensor or something, and it was blowing the balls, the physics simulation of it across the platform in dreams. And
What?
I thought I retweeted it, but
Janik Alloy, or I think his name is, right?
Yeah. And
How do you do that?
And I was like, that's amazing. But of course, like I said, everything comes back to movies for me. So like I was thinking of, you know, not PSVR 2, we already talked about that, but with the next camera
or lack thereof,
the next cam for PS5, like does anyone think that they're gonna maybe try to get like mocap into this?
Oh,
that
would be amazing for animation.
The only reason I bring it up is because even though the Kinect is a doomed piece of trash, people took it and actually implemented it into I think before Microsoft started looking into it, but made it so that you could mocap using the Kinect, which makes me think that it's already floating around.
Project Spark did that, I think.
And I think that would be something interesting. I know we're already asking for a billion things, but like, I don't know. With a 10-year plan, I always have to think about what's coming, because that's just my personality. Like, I always want to know what's next, but not at the expense.
That would make the action recorder significantly more useful.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, James.
I don't know. I think it might be difficult to do that, considering that, you know, the next camera is more than likely not going to be used for PSVR 2. I don't think they're going to be using camera tracking for the next VR. I think they need to move away from that, because that was the main issue with the first PSVR, was the motion tracking on it was just god awful, because it used the light system on the Move controllers using old tech, and all the VR systems have moved away from using lighthouse boxes to track your position in VR. You know, all the new headsets are using cameras built onto the device itself to position yourself in VR. It's a lot more stable. So I don't think that VR 2 will even use an external camera.
No. I'm not. I'm saying like not with PSVR, but there is a camera for the PS5. So like, even if the PSVR isn't using that, you would still have the opportunity to implement the camera in new ways, which is why I was saying not with PSVR 2, but just with the camera itself.
Didn't the Kinect have like special was it like a special kind of camera though, or was it just literally just a normal like camera?
Wasn't it like infrared?
Yeah, I think because that might be the reason why it was able to be used for motion capture. I don't know if it had any other specific technology inside the camera that made it possible.
Well, I don't care what type of special technology it had. It couldn't see black people, so it was of no use to me. Okay, that's so. I don't care what type of special camera contraption they built.
I've never had that problem.
Microsoft.
Light shines off me like a lighthouse.
Yo, I got 3 lights on me, and I'm looking like an unplayable character right now. So all I'm saying is that when it comes down to it, I'm just saying that I have to believe that there's a way, and with that being the case, that's something that being that I do want dreams to be focused more towards. Hey, stop laughing. No, I'm just playing. I'll just play it. Keep laughing. It's fine. I just feel like that there's as I brought up with Pixel last week, like, you know, dreams is like, I don't say this, I'm trying not to put this in a way that could be taken as negative, but I believe I believe that a lot of people rightfully, because it's being placed on a console, think of dreams as a game. But the gaming aspect of dreams, while intriguing as hell to me, is not the thing that I joined for. It's not the reason I was interested in dreams. And so to be completely selfish about this, it's like I would love to see things that benefit not just gameplay, but also benefit the other things that dreams is made, like it makes it capable for you to create. And so I would personally like to see more things that could be implemented towards those who do want to focus on film. And so that's what made me think of mocap, because I feel like if they could do it with the Kinect, and I thought both of them were made off of the same technology. They just implemented your interaction with it differently. So like, I don't know. I'd have to look into it, but that would definitely be. But even if it ran off of these, Harry Potter wands that we have. Like, I feel like if it was just enough to at least track this, and this was your hand on the puppet, just having that alone, like, linked to a puppet would be
It'd save you so much time.
It would be pretty incredible. So even without, like, any type of new technology, I feel like maybe just something that's like, hey, read these as this. And, you know, it might be able to be done now. I don't know. I'm just not.
I think you can do what you just said now.
Already done it. Like with when they first announced Dreams at E3 or something, didn't they do that weird concert thing with some puppets that they made? Like, doesn't that already exist?
I thought they did, but I haven't seen anybody use it, and I didn't know if it made the cut, like if it was still in Dreams, because I thought if somebody's doing. I
just assumed they were like doing puppeteering, you know, motion cap, like doing the action recorder, and they had a puppet set up to kind of like, you know, be a little ploppy, and they were using the existing
that's
tool.
literally all it was.
Yeah.
I think
you could probably set up a rig now that would do that.
Didn't they say they changed the way the puppets worked since then, so you couldn't exactly control them that way, but like,
which is
I feel like you could logic it out.
Yeah,
I think you could get pretty far puppeteering. Yeah. Like I don't know, because I'm like, that's not my focus. Like I don't do a lot of puppeteering. I don't do a lot of puppets in general, actually. Like, and so like when you say stuff about like, oh, I wish I had mocap, and like this is one of those times when I'm like, well, that seems like he's in another corner of Dreams and pushing out the bubble. He wants that one little bit of expansion in his neck of the woods, where it's like I'm like, I don't care that much.
But even and I am definitely that. I'm definitely what you're describing. I don't lie to myself about it. But at the same time, it's like I kind of have to, like as I said, because of my personal interest, I kind of have to be that outlier. But even if they never, even if Media Molecule, for anyone who thinks that, you know, I'm being like, well, they aren't catering to my needs, that's not what I'm saying. but if Media Molecule personally came out and said Mighty Vicious, no Power Glove and no mocap, you know, I would still be like, I love you anyway, and I'd keep using Dreams. It's just, but
I'd be upset if they came out and said no Power Glove, because that would just upset me on a visceral level.
See, I was trying to play it cool, but no, I'm just like, no, because I understand why I can't have everything I want. I would be a little reticent to be like, you know, well, can I have a meeting to express to you why the Power Glove would be the way to go? But at the same time, to be completely fair, I get it. And no matter what, I want to see Dreams grow, but at no point am I crapping on what it is, because what it is nothing short of amazing in my mind, even still.
I mean, they gave some love to the sound folks recently, so like I'm assuming everybody's going to get their turn.
Oh yeah, I'm really
those
appreciative that new music update was a blessing. Absolutely love those new instruments.
So
yeah, I expect nothing, and I'm always delightfully surprised when anything is released. That's how I look at it. I mean, I'm following like what they're doing all the time. Anytime they give us a little morsel of information about what they're working on, I'm like, ooh, yeah. But more of that. Come on, show me. But you know, like, at the end of the day, like I'm happy with what tools we have, and I'm happy with what I'm capable of doing in these tools, and I think it's a lot of fun. And like, they're not doing nothing. Like the fact that they shipped VR during a pandemic, like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm imagining my workplace, and I work in software, and the fact that like anything gets done, like as everyone had to suddenly become proficient at working from home, like that's hard. Like a lot of people are not used to that, and it's a different way of working, and they've still been doing updates, and still like I said, at least VR, which is not small, that is a big release. So I'm happy with whatever they give me, but I am definitely chomping at the bit for any new morsels.
Give me that tan calculator. Where's that at?
Yeah.
So I just want to bring this up because James found out something that made his life much easier as far as music and Dreams goes. I want him to share it because we've had people mention it in passing on, I think, the very last roundtable we had. But did you want to go ahead and, you know, throw that out there for people who also might be interested in what you found?
Yeah, so I just creeped across it when Bison made a tweet about some song that he was making in Dreams, and right at the end of the tweet he said, "Oh yeah, and this was performed on a MIDI keyboard directly into Dreams." I was like, how have you managed to do that? Because that would like be game changing for me for making music, because I play piano, and it would make it so much easier than actually placing each individual note on Dreams. And I think it was Alex from created like this application that you use on your laptop, and you just plug your keyboard into it, and you use the IP address of your PlayStation, and it sends the MIDI over the internet.
I think it's called MIDI to OSC.
That's it, MIDI to OSC.
You can find it on GitHub. I don't know that anybody's actively maintaining it now, because I know Alex started it, and I think Claire, aka what's her? Anyways, one of the other molecules, Kamal, picked it up. So like she's gone now. So hopefully it keeps getting maintained. But yeah, it's really cool.
Oh yeah. So
well, I know like the keyboard you use to type with, if you have one that you can just plug into your PC, you can just plug that into the console. That's what I do.
Yeah, I have two keyboards on my desk. One of them is my PC, and one of them is my PS4, and I often get them confused, and we'll type random like variable names into Discord and send them to people, and I'm like, wait, sorry.
Yeah, I've got a Bluetooth keyboard under my couch, so when I'm dreaming, I just reach down and grab that.
All right,
that's gonna be life change for me when I get that set up. I can't wait to play around with that in Dreams.
Yeah, if you have just a normal typing keyboard, you could just plug it in, and the letters correspond to different notes. It just works. I love it.
In performance mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it works with instruments. I don't think
I don't know if
really
it works
actually
with
know
an
that.
actual like piano, but I know like a typing keyboard. It's also funny because when you're typing things in a text player, it'll still play notes while you're typing words down, corresponding to the sounds. It's stupid.
Yeah, MIDI
for me-
keyboard sounds better.
Yeah, for me though, having an actual physical MIDI keyboard is so much better because I can play the chords, and I can play the left hand, I can play the right hand, I can play it how I would play it outside of Dreams, but it's actually being recorded directly into Dreams as MIDI. That's a dream for me to be able to do that. It's going to change the way I make music.
It's a dream.
It's going to be game changing for me. I can't wait to play around with it.
The keyboard playing notes was hilarious because when I was making my Pew 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 game, at a certain point I had like the sound effect for the Pew 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 selected, and I was trying to type something in. Every time I typed a key,
That typing.
Oh, that's great.
About FL Studios a bit, and that I also use my typing keyboard for. So when I was able to do Dreams, I'm like, yes, this is amazing. I can make songs and stuff now. That's like used to make one of the songs Eventualize, I think. It's so good.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we leave you. We are done for today. Thank you to everybody who came through Entropy. We are definitely going to get you on for a solo episode, and probably a few more roundtables in the future. And Ledbetter, I saw you earlier in chat. It's not rounds because if I made it round, if everybody would be like the size of a quarter on your screen, and that's just not conducive. But I really wanted to. I did.
That would have been great. You could have made me like a diamond. I'd be like the smallest one because I don't have a cam.
Yes, we punish our guests.
Yeah,
You don't meet qualifications.
Yeah, I had fun. It was good. It was good to talk with everyone. So I had a lot of fun.
Indeed, and I'm sure we'll have everybody back, including Pixel, with his hot takes, and RBD. Maybe he'll open up with us a little more. We'll get into his. We'll get him into his. Into what he really
his
believes.
deep-seated hatred of everything you
Get
make.
intimate with him. I think that's what he wants.
I felt like I was pretty good today. I didn't say anything.
Oh
What?
no!
Did I say
Hey, against my wishes, you were good today. No, I'm just But anyway, thank you everybody. I appreciate everybody that came through in chat and everyone that's here speaking with us. We have another roundtable next week. We actually have 2 more roundtables in a row.
Roundtable month.
Yes, next week we're gonna have Imberg's Piece of Craft, Mikey, CSLT, and Elka on, and then
Who's
after that, yeah,
Some guy.
and then we're gonna have the all women's podcast roundtable.
Woohoo!
So just spread the love, because I realized other than that episode where Abby had us on as guest, we haven't had any women in our episodes, and so I'm trying to be inclusive, even though someone accused me of being a pervert on Twitter. I
I saw that. I was like, what?
You can't win, man.
So
That's what I was saying before. You can't win.
So, I'm used to not winning, but it's. But again, thank you to everybody.
Let's say this podcast is a win.
I would say so, but not everyone agrees. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, I hate it here. Don't invite me back.
Dude, I'm gonna invite you back, bro. Don't you try to run away from our love. We need your essence. We need you. We need your essence.
We need to bump your essence.
It's true. So I'm gonna go ahead and send you over to Mikey, by the way, just so we can, share the love, and everybody say hello. Yeah. But thank you again for joining, and we'll be back next week. So love you all. Later.